Forests hold fierce, dark, and deep secrets. Beyond these lush green forests in Karnataka's Dakshina Kannada district lies an untold story. A story that will melt your heart. A real life tale that will leave you spellbound and force you to rethink some of your harshest decisions in life. Can you imagine giving up everything you have, leaving everyone you know behind? Here is the story of a man who left the rat race for a life in the forest with the only thing he loved, his ambassador car. Who is this man? What is his story? And what's he doing in the forest? For answers to these questions, let's go to Karnataka's Dakshina Kannada district. Nestling between two villages, Artale and Nekkare in Dakshina Kannada district, this lush green forest has been a sanctum of peace for 56-year-old Chandrashekar, a lean man with strong limbs, half-bald head, and no shave, no haircut, 2 pieces of cloth, and a pair of rubber slippers. And right near him is a small plastic sheet resting on bamboo poles that guard his knight in shining white armor, the White Ambassador. Fitted with a very old but functional radio on its bonnet, which has lost its color and identity after all these years of forest dwelling, the Ambassador is Chandrashekhar's only partner. And this car has been his home, literally his everything. Summers can be brutally humid in this forest, and rains see no end during the peak season. But come what may, these two have been his constant companion for 17 years. Yes, unbelievable this may seem, and probably it might even sound like a very moving filmy plot, but it's not. Weaving baskets using dry creepers and bartering them for essentials like rice, sugar, and other groceries in return, Chandrashekar leads a solitary life in the midst of wildlife. The forest gets dark and scary at night, but with Akashvani Mangaluru station on the radio, Chandrashekar listens to old Hindi melodies to sleep in peace during the nights. Instances of elephants speaking into his ambassador abode have sometimes given him chills down his spine. But he bides his time and wishes to continue doing so as long as he is in the wilderness. There are a set of documents that Chandrashekar has been treasuring for years now. In fact, these documents are the connecting dots to his heart-wrenching life story. Once upon a time, Chandrashekar was a content man who owned a 1.5 acre of farm in Nekral Kemraje village where he grew areca nut and led a peaceful life. The documents he treasures are of the land he once owned. Chandrashekar, like any other farmer, availed a loan of 40,000 rupees from a cooperative bank. Unfortunately, he couldn't make ends meet and did not repay the lender. So the bank auctioned his farm, and that threw Chandrashekar off the grid. He wanted to get his land back. It was something very near and dear to him. But since it was no longer his, he took off to his sister's house in Artale in his ambassador car seeking help and shelter. A few days later, he had a rift with the sister's family and left everything behind. Like they say, a hungry stomach and an empty pocket exposes the reality of your close ones. His family didn't bother to reach out to him. He drove away in his ambassador to this forest where he puts a plastic sheet above to protect the car from rain and sun.
2003-2004 ಇದ್ದೇನೆ ಒಂದೇ ಕಾಡಲ್ಲಿ ರಾತ್ರಿ ಹಗಲು. 21ಕ್ಕೆ ಆಸ್ತಿ ಹರಾಜು ಆ ನಂತರದ ದಿನಗಳ ಒಂದು ಪರಿಚಯದ ಊರದಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದೆ ನಾನು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅಕ್ಕನ ಮದುವೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟ ಕಾರಣ. ಹಾಗೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ 1.5 ವರ್ಷ ಆಶ್ರಯ ಕೊಟ್ಟರು, ಮತ್ತೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಏನೋ ಅನುಕಂಪ ಬರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಜೀವನವಾಗಿ ಬುಟ್ಟಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ, ಇಂಜಿನ್ ಬಳ್ಳಿ ಅರಣ್ಯದ ಬಳ್ಳಿಗಳನ್ನು ಕಡಿದು ಜೀವಿಸುದು. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ನಾನು ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಫೆಸಿಲಿಟಿ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಇದು ನನಗೆ ದುಡ್ದೇ ಬಂದದ್ದು, ನಾನು ದುಡ್ದು ತಗೊಂಡೆ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ವಾಸ್ತವ ಕೊಡದ ಊರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನೊಂದು ಬದುಕಬೇಕಲ್ಲ.
In all these 17 years, he hasn't looted resources from the forest, and so the forest department doesn't have any problem with him staying there. The villagers nearby are aware of his plight. In fact, he doesn't have an Aadhaar card, but Aranthod Gram Panchayat gave him his dose of COVID-19 vaccine. Chandrashekar yearns to get his land back, but he has no ways and means to realize his dream. However, on knowing about this man's self-imposed solitary life few years ago, A.B. Ibrahim, the district collector, visited him in his ambassador abode and promised to get him a proper house to live in. He even got a house built, but Chandrashekar refused it, saying the house was in the middle of rubber forest and he didn't like to live there. In such a condition, the lockdown was a tough time for him as well. He survived on water and wild fruits for weeks during that time. Even today, after 17 long years, Chandrashekar dreams of getting his plot and driving his ambassador. But sadly, fate derailed his normal life by auctioning his land. The auction left him wrecked emotionally, and a man who lost everything in his life went in search of peace and silence, which led us to this forest where we met Chandrashekar. In all the things, it is better to hope than to despair. Chandrashekar has lost hope in his family, but not in his dream to get back the land. And it is his hopes that has helped him get through the darkest of times.